Hello everyone, and welcome back to this playthrough of Bloodborne. Finally getting back into some of the main game, well, if you can call the DLC that. But first we have a little bit of things to do before we dive into that nightmare. Now, the previous episode I went ahead and used the queenly flesh on that altar by Ebrietas and said that time moves in reverse for it. I forgot to, during that session, to show exactly what that did. It brought back Queen Annalise.
Arrant fool. Vile blood or no, forget not. We are thy queen. Bend the knee. Closest of kin. Bearer of our blood.
It's like she was
welcome
never even dead.
What is thy
No
wish?
recognition of that. No acknowledgement of any kind.
Thy gift pleases us. Let this reward be thine. Indulge thyself.
Alright. So yeah, it basically makes this exactly how it's been.
We await thy return. For the honor of Canehurst.
Making Alfred's attack and subsequent suicide completely pointless. Making his rather fucked up storyline a little extra bit of tragic. Well, more so than it already was. Next, we head back to Cathedral Ward. Now, after we killed Mikolash in the nightmare, something happened back here at Home Base 2. Ariana has left her chair, and there's a trail of blood on the ground, indicating which way she went. If you recall, she was not feeling so well. Nauseous, urinal, stomach pain, that sort of deal. It just happened so suddenly. And we just gained some insight for coming down here. And this is why.
It can't be. This is a nightmare.
So, as one can tell, she is pretty, noticeably and rightfully distraught from having given birth to a celestial child here. Which, this is more a scaled down version of the enemies we've been fighting. And it's noticeably more pink and more, I'd say, it looks more organic than they do simply because it's so fresh. And what have we done with the rest of those? Now, I did not hit her at all. She appears to have some sort of psychic link with that weird little creature that she gave birth to. Ariana's shoes and another 1/3 umbilical cord. Let's take a look at them. Shoes worn by Ariana, woman of the night, in the cathedral ward. Innocent and cute, in contrast with its owner. And then that matches up with her noble dress. And, oops. Let me see which one of these is the most recent one. Okay, so that's the one from the abandoned workshop. Alright, this should be it. A great relic, also known as the cord of the eye. Every infant great one has this precursor to the umbilical cord. Provost William sought the cord in order to elevate his being, and thoughts to those of a great one, by lining his brain with eyes, the only choice he knew if man were to ever match their greatness. So, what exactly happened here? It needs to be noted that, in particular, this is Oaden Chapel. And Oaden is a great one. We'll take a look at one of his runes to as a nice refresher. Oaden Wraith. Here we go. A Kara rune. Alright. Wraiths, human or no. The oozing blood is a medium of the highest grade, and the essence of the formless Great One Oaden. Both Oaden and his inadvertent worshippers surreptitiously seek the precious blood. So, Oaden is formless. Or at least it's not, his form is something that we humans cannot perceive. With our low insight. Perhaps he really truly does have no form at all, no matter how insightful one becomes, human, great one, or otherwise. But one of the things I always like to believe is that he's somewhere within this fog, or is the fog itself. This that permeates the chapel here. And now that her quest line's over, I'd like to speak of Ariana's little, shall we say, rival here. In Yarhar Ghul, early on, back when we fought Dark Beast Parl, there was a young nun by the name of Adela that I had sent, rather than here, to the chapel, which would make sense for, well, a nun. I sent her to the fake Yosefka's clinic, where she was turned into a celestial emissary and ostensibly died. And, well, she technically did die, since I killed her and got some sort of item from her. I don't remember what it was, but if you let her go to the chapel and you have Ariana, you can get both their blood from each of them. But if you take Ariana's blood, I want to say 3 times, she every time you speak to Ariana, she, from her little corner over there, looks right over to you. And oh wait, I didn't need to go in here. And she starts to get a bit jealous. And if you take enough of Ariana's blood, she will kill her while you are not in the chapel during a reload at some point. And that makes it impossible to get that 1/3 umbilical cord that we just received. And so that gives this game a unique distinction compared to Dark Souls and Demon Souls, in that you have two NPCs that can actually kill your other friendly NPCs in your hub. Now, it's about time we actually started diving into promised DLC tonight. Let's take a look back at the key item that is required to enter it. We received this back after killing Vicar Amelia a long ass time ago. I have a blood drug hunter. The eye of a blood drug hunter. Its pupils collapse and turn to mush, indicating the onset of the scourge of beasts. Hunter who goes drunk with blood is said to be taken by the nightmare, destined to wander forever, engaged in an endless hunt. It is a fate that no hunter can escape. Except maybe one who is not blood drunk. And this was accompanied with a message to come out here by the chapel while holding this item to be whisked away somewhere, much like the tonsil stone at the entrance to Yar Hargul. And our big Agmigdala friend up there is going to help us. If you can call it that. He has to hit me first.
Cursed fiends, their children too. And their children forever true.
Oh, that was a voice that we will not hear again. And what she was doing is cursing blood drug hunters. Those who've fallen into inescapable madness for blood in their lust for bestial lust that they've let themselves been overtaken by. And we've been transported to this place known as the Hunter's Nightmare, which looks rather identical, except for the time of day, to the Oaden Chapel we just left, but there's no NPCs here. This door's locked again. The fog still permeates the ground. The stairs and adjacent room here no longer exist, or they don't exist yet. And the nice little chapter dweller fellow does not exist anymore either, as well as the door out to the left, in which we were whisked away here. That's because we're in a nightmare. Look at that moon up there. It's a very striking visual. I love the way it looks all broken and shattered like that. Something like a thick piece of glass or a mirror. Frenzy Cold Blood. And Yarnum is the same yet quite wholly different. This DLC came out November 24th, 2015, same year as the main game. It was initially set to be two different expansions, but they ended up combining them into one for whatever reason. And here's our first enemy. A blood drug hunter, wielding a weapon not in the main game. and hitting like hell. Old hunter cap. Old hunter cap with a wide brim that hides their sharp gaze. In the old days, when hunters were 10 a penny, this was part of their standard garb. So we are in a sufficiently warped version of Yarnum's past. Which is a really nice remix of content. The first the DLC for the original Dark Souls also does this pretty well too, in which you're transported literally into the past, rather than a facsimile of it like we are right now. So it has the air of being familiar yet different. Don't want to spoil that too much, but it remixes an area that you've been to and really turns it on its head and really feels like, yeah, I'm way back before I initially came through this. Old hunter gloves. Old hunter gauntlets made of brass to protect their weapon-bearing hands. At the time, some hunters believed that certain metals would ward off beast blood. On the night of the hunt, it is no wonder that some resort to superstition. Advent Plaza is down there, and as you can see, there's lots of beast patients making their way around. As the item description said, this place is where the hunters continue to hunt beast. And a detail I really like is how just absolutely frightened they are of you by default, which is the animation they would be making if you were holding a torch regularly. But as you can see, I'm not. They'll strike if you get too close for too long. And they'll hurt, obviously. But I think it's a nice little extra sense of twisted detail in that the hunters in here are so screwed up that even the nightmare things that are supposed to be tormenting them as a nightmare are afraid of them on sight. Such as one of them. They'll go after a beast just as much as they go after you. They have some great weapons in here, many of which we'll have access to. If not all of them, actually. A lot of poise. And a lot of blood vials, so. Notice a little trap button there. It activates this miniature Gatling gun. Nice detail change. I appreciate how the dogs in this are Dobermans now, rather than just the generic shaggy mixed whatever the hell they're supposed to emulate in present day. I mean, Dobermans are a cool aesthetic. I'm not even a dog person, and I'll admit they look neat. I mean, they're there to scare you a little bit, but there's of course something cool about that. Another hunter variant. As mostly defenseless as they are, gotta be careful. I'm pretty well leveled, especially after all that Chalice dungeon stuff, but don't want to take any chances with this DLC, especially when my first experience with it was a New Game Plus, because I didn't want to start a whole new game over and get to this. So everything was really stacked and forked against me. I struggled with so much of it. But I eventually made it through. Pathways blocked off to a Charnel Lane. Ooh. And there's a new enemy type. Nightmare Executioner. Much like the executioners in the Waking World. Though at the same time, to me, I feel like they're some sort of amalgamation with the Giants. I need to get this guy into a more open space. They do a lot of damage. I should have turned around by now. Ugh. Oh, for fuck's sake, mister. Get him back up here to relatively more open space. Oh, watch out for that grab attack, too. They drop a lot of blood vials on death too, because they know they hurt. Old hunter garb. Oh, there it is. Old hunter garb. One day, the hunters disappeared, and the Arnamites began to whisper of the hunter's sin. Drunk with blood, chasing after beasts, they would pass on to the nightmare, every last one of them. I'm gonna stick with my Charred Hunter set for now, because I really love the look of it. Ah, yes, back here in the Grand Cathedral. Looks mostly the same. No Vicar Amelia. This is another very striking visual. Eye pendant. If I wasn't doing animated intros and stuff, this would be the damn thumbnail. Eye pendant. Here we go. An eye pendant which unlocks the surgery altar. There are 2 cathedrals in the Hunter's Dream. One lies past the River of Blood, and another contains the private research hall of the Healing Church. Only chosen members of the Healing Church or their lamentable patients can enter the research hall using this eye. Grant eyes to surgery altar skull. Key item, important, will come in handy later. Now, those nightmare executioners. I view them much like the winter lanterns that we're become all too familiar with in this playthrough. That thankfully that these things do not cause frenzy, because that would be insane overkill, but I believe they're of a similar, shall we say, kin to the winter lanterns, and that they're creatures that manifest themselves one way or another through fears and emotions based on their prey. And I think they are much like the winter lanterns are a combination of like messengers, weird brains, and the doll to the hunter. The nightmare executioners are similar in the way to how imposing the executioner enemies and the church giants are, but much like the winter lantern, potential bits of their what they actually may look like in some sort of default state poke through if they were to have one. With the winter lanterns, it's the brain and all the eyes. With the nightmare executioners, it's the tentacly face with a sort of a cosmic, like literally like staring into space motif. And they've also got a Yarhar Ghul Hunter style helmet grill in there as well. Those damn Gatling guns. Gonna have to get past them. Thankfully they break in one strike. Or turn off when nothing is on the button anymore. Okay, this one seems to have glitched out. It's broken, but it's not breaking.